We are the restaurant brokers, and we sell restaurants.
We started the nation's largest restaurant brokerage firm over a decade ago.
Atlanta, Georgia was our starting point, but our brand is spreading nationwide. We define restaurant brokerage and help buyers just like these.
Our dream, our goal, open up a restaurant, loving life, serving people breakfast and lunch, and then enjoying the rest of the day with them and ourselves.
Buying an existing restaurant, leasing a closed restaurant space, or purchasing a restaurant franchise. We help buyers satisfy their appetite for acquisition.
I'm part of a husband and wife team with this fella.
Working with my wife has been a lot of fun. The ultimate goal for everybody here is to make this work. And because we have different strengths, we bring different angles to the deal.
The process begins with our powerhouse website, WeSellRestaurants.com, where buyers sign online confidentiality agreements and browse restaurants for sale.
Then we send buyers undercover to check out a restaurant and decide if it's the right one for them.
Buyers get our proprietary business analysis tool with all the financial details on the business for sale.
After studying the restaurant inside and out, it's back to our office.
We're deal makers. We write contracts and negotiate terms for buyers and sellers. That's why we sell more restaurants than any other firm in the nation. We are the restaurant brokers. Our name says it all. Okay, that sound means you're back on the air with the restaurant brokers, and today we have been going hog wild for pork. That's right. America has that love affair with bacon and all things pork related. And Eric, I think it's kind of interesting. Our guest today shared a lot of information, and one thing that sort of stood out to me is that pork has gotten sort of a bad reputation over the years as being not so healthy. And what I found very interesting and innovative about what restaurants are doing today is that there's so much more consciousness about what you're eating and where it comes from and how it's derived and then what that animal is being fed and how it's being sourced, that I think you can kind of overcome those objections and people feel a whole lot better about eating whatever the protein or the product is. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, if you think even go back 20 years ago, I mean, pork was a big Southern thing. I mean, you know how many pig picking, and barbecue joints and everything had emerged in the South. So the South's always been strong in barbecue and pork. And then the rest of the country was like, ooh, no pork. Beef is, you go to the Midwest. I mean, it was all beef and all these things. And now, suddenly out of nowhere, pork is, we learned today, is head-to-head. Maybe this year will surpass beef in consumption in our country, which we use a lot of meat.
So that means the reality portion of this segment means that then we've got to really rethink old recipes, old ways of doing business, old preparation methods, and even old ways of using the product available to you. Because I think one thing that one guest said that chefs are becoming more creative, and they're using more what would in the prior years be called offcuts. They weren't that primary source of bacon or pork chops or whatever you would derive from the animal. And so chefs have gotten very, very creative about approaching the product. And from that really sort of sends a message about what you should be doing as an operator or as someone planning a menu is to, think about ways that you could use that less popular sort of cut of the meat and then derive a dish around it. And guess what? It lowers your food costs, gives you something that's a standout, begins to differentiate your menu and what you have to offer, and you become a little bit something different in the crowd.
Yeah, you minimize your waste. You become more sustainable into the adult environment right now, which is a big thing for all restaurants and consumers. You can use a lot more. I mean, be honest with you, I mean, people may not know that, but pig's feet is a delicacy in France. It's a big, very fancy thing, very, very top chef, very hard to do. But even the feet of a pig are something that people eat, and it's actually, I've eaten before. It's very good.
Okay, we're leaving that one to you. I'm not eating that.
But, you look at that compared to beef, like you said, there's only so many, our guest said today, so many cuts of beef you can use and so forth. You can buy a whole pig, probably a lot less that you can buy, only certain parts of the beef. So that's also that. So if you are only having just pork chops on your menu still today, you need to really go back to your drawing board and figure out, okay, I may have to cut down these cuts of beef. You're probably already using some different cuts of beef, or you're having some very expensive beef items on your menu, because that's the current situation that we are in. But you need to look at that and make some very interesting dish made of pork, and that's probably something that you really want to do to maximize profit and also reduce food costs, and also probably getting what your customer wants. Because I mean, like we said, pork, bacon. I mean, everything bacon. People are trying it, isn't it right, Rob?
That's true. The other thing I think is kind of interesting is that everybody that goes through culinary school, they go through a whole butcher round. I mean, that's a classic piece of the training. But for so many people, they do it, and it's, okay, I made it through that class. It's like anatomy or biology. You made it through, and so
check the box and move on.
Move on. And what this segment really points out is that there are different places to focus, and maybe going back and restudying that approach to that animal to begin with will either refamiliarize you, and I'm not saying everybody should be a butcher, but stay current on that methodology, and then you can request an alternative cut of the animal, and then do different things with it.
Yeah, you see that we had some guests about fish, how there's some fish that are more cuts, there's more parts of the fish that you can use, and there's more meat in the fish. And so it's the same thing here. You got to learn how to fillet fish. You got to learn how to cut your portions and be creative with it. Don't go overboard with it unless this is all your team. And we've seen so many restaurants that are opening in recent years, all pork, all bacon, all of this. I mean, this is good, but it's something that you should have a tool that people would request and push it. Part of this also is education of your customers through your servers, to educate people about this cut. I mean, we learn about the fat content. We learn that it is healthy. We learn some different dishes. And if your sales force, which is, your servers, can describe this and push this, you're going to get better margins and also increase profitability for your restaurant by pushing more pork product.
I love it when we talk about profitability, because that's really the name of the game. That's what this segment, Restaurant Reality, is about. So when we're challenging you to look beyond the basic pork chop or whatever's been on your menu for the last 5 to 7 years and really include something different, it is both to drive from a marketing perspective, drive more people in the doors because they want to taste something that's different, that's unique, and that's a challenge for you as a chef to put together. And then secondly, to be able to really raise that per price, per plate, either your margin or the top line sales number, both of which have the effect of delivering more profit to you as an operator. And at the end of the day, the reality is, no matter how much you love the business, no matter how much you love bacon, no matter how great you are in serving it up at home, we got to deliver those dollars and cents if you're going to stay in this business. And it can be challenging. You take a plate that retails for $18 and you change the margin up from a 32% food cost to a 26% food cost. That's 6% on every dollar that comes in top line sales that delivers to you on the bottom line. And that's the kind of math you have to do and you have to apply to the restaurant business to be successful.
Yeah, and you have to look. I mean, if you love beef, that's great. Like Robin said, buy some great cuts, cook it at home or something like that. Get on your menu in limited portions. Maybe, you sell only 5% of this. It is pricier. But also experiment. I mean, we talked today about bacon. We talk about pork today. But we see veals as an up-and-coming trend right now. There's so many different meats out there that are. Don't be afraid to try. Challenge your chef. I mean, if you own a restaurant and you have a chef or even strong cooks in your kitchen, challenge them. Show their creativity. So say, hey, I'm going to buy 10 pounds, 15 pounds of veal. Let's try. Experiment with that. Come in on your day off you want to, or come in on Monday or on a slow day, and I want you to experiment, and let's get some of our customer. Make it an event. Make it a fun thing. Make it a discovery thing for you, for your cooking staff, for your staff in the restaurant, as well as some of your best customers. And that is an event that will generate so much buzz that when you introduce new dishes, the whole world will be talking about it for you.
Well, because you brought up a really good point there, is that you get your staff engaged and you get them excited about it. And your wait staff, they're your sales team. And so you really cannot differentiate between those two things. Wait staff equals sales staff. So you have to get them excited, invigorated, and passionate about whatever they have been trying and eating. And then guess what? Those sales go out the door. And speaking of sales, we can't end this segment without talking about a few of our listings and some of the businesses that we have for sale. We have a kosher catering restaurant in Pembroke Pines, Florida. Now, I'm always intrigued when people look at Florida because, Eric, there is no state income tax in Florida, tremendous weather, very business-friendly climate. I might want to go there myself. This one's on the market for $295,000.
That's great. I mean, we talk about bacon today. Nothing better than a burger with bacon and a cold beer. Well, I've got a sports bar in Metro Atlanta area, making to an owner-operator, $140,000 a year in profit in your pocket, working 40 hours a week, $249,000. This owner says, sell, Eric, sell, sell, sell. He called me last week, said sell. So we need some people to look at that. Listing 4350 on WeSellRestaurants.com.
Remember, visit us online, WeSellRestaurants.com, and we're back here every single week as we satisfy your appetite for acquisition, feed the need for restaurant reality, and serve up a recipe for business success. This is Eric and Robin Gagnon. We are the Restaurant Brokers. You can find us online at WeSellRestaurants.com.